And brand new details emerging from the frantic search for Nancy Guthrie. A new message from the alleged kidnapper sends investigators back to the 84-year-old's home for a fresh sweep, this time towing a blue Subaru from Nancy's garage. Federal agents also pulling a wired device from Guthrie's roof that appeared to be next to a small solar panel. So let's bring in Fox News contributor and criminal defense attorney Donna Rotunno. So great to see you this morning. Thank you for joining us. So I'm assuming that the last time that we know that someone saw Nancy was dropping her off on Saturday night, and we know that the timing because of the garage door that went up. Is the speculation that she entered the home through that garage door and that authorities are concerned about the Subaru, the car, that she would have walked past, or maybe somebody else may have gained entry to the home through that door?
Good morning, Griff. Yes, I would think that that's absolutely correct. We do know that she entered through that garage. There was a timeline, so they must have been able to figure that out from whatever, surveillance or whatever system she has in the house. But they had an idea of what time that garage door opened and what time it closed. What I find interesting, though, is why wasn't the car towed the first time?
Yeah.
Because we knew that this was an issue, right? So it's very interesting to me that whatever that note said apparently made law enforcement believe that that car was something that they should be looking at more closely, and then something that they ended up towing. But I find it very strange, given the fact that we knew from the beginning, at least, or they believed that she entered through that garage. It seems strange that now that's something that is more of a point of interest.
Sure. And then what about this device that was on the roof? Do we have, and I realize that, all of this at this point is kind of some level of speculation, but do we have any inkling what the significance of that may or may not have been?
Well, again, I think it's very strange that this was not something that was discovered in the initial search or even the second search of that house, because now this is the third time that they're going back. And, yesterday we heard that it was some camera type device. Now we're hearing that it is some wired type device. So whatever it is, if it was a camera type or wildlife camera, I think we heard yesterday, you'd have to see where that was pointing. If that was really a focus on the backyard, is that going to give any information?
Right.
We just don't know. If it is some other wired device that really means nothing, we don't know that either. But it's very interesting to me, again, that it took until the third search to find these things. And what about that is so unique that they decided to take it this time? So, again, we don't know everything they know. I think it's very interesting in these cases, and they probably are keeping a lot quiet because there are things that they don't want out. So, this is going to just be interesting to see how it plays out. But I mean, we're on day 7 of this, and this is a week of a woman who's not well being with captors. So it's very sad and very scary.
Indeed. And of course, if it is a game cam, a lot of those game cameras have to be manually operated, where you take the card out and see what's on there. I want to switch gears to this. Luigi Mangione appeared in New York courtroom this week and had an outburst as the judge set the state trial to begin June 8th, with the federal trial just 2 months later. A couple of things about this. One is, obviously he was claiming that it was double jeopardy. I have a hard time seeing how it was double jeopardy, but can you explain that? First of all, can you explain that?
Sure. So it is not double jeopardy. Double jeopardy, of course, is that you cannot be tried twice for the same crime. However, we're talking about different jurisdictions and essentially different crimes. Although it's arising out of the same incident, these are sovereign jurisdictions. So that's number one. Number two is New York does have very strict double jeopardy laws. So the New York state court really does need to go to trial before the federal court, because if the federal case goes first, there is an argument to be made on the state side that the New York double jeopardy laws that are a little unique could kick in. So that's why they want the state case to go first. And also, the state really did the majority of the work in this case. I mean, New York Police Department did an amazing job in terms of finding him and piecing all the pieces together. So I think they would like to go first for a variety of reasons. ends. And so I think that is what's going to happen. We heard Judge Cano the other day say this case is going to trial and you're going to be ready. So we'll see how this plays out. So
and you may as well just sort of take that argument off the table by letting the state trial go first. Real quickly, though, I was struck by the fact that he decided to have this outburst in the courtroom as if he's trying to lobby the media on his behalf, which seems like a kind of a strange thing in a trial.
That's exactly what he's trying to do. Yeah. He knows he has supporters. I mean, just pull up any story online and look at all these people saying, you know, he's justified, and look at all the people who've died because they don't have health care. And so, yeah, that's exactly what he's doing. He's keeping his base, for lack of a better term, engaged. He wants those donations to keep pouring in. That is theater and nothing else. Yeah,
truly disgusting. Donna Rotunno, thank you so much.
Totally. Thank you so much, Griff. Have a good day.
Hey, everyone. I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.